Hello, everybody. It is I, Alex McCarthy, being flanked by the usual dynamic duo of SP3 and Satini Angie. But this isn't just any old edition of Monday Night Live. This is a big week in the wrestling. We got Clash at the Castle this weekend. We've got All Out this weekend. And you've got the daddy section walking you through everything right here on ITR Clips. Fellas, what's going on? SP3, you're still here. How you get? Yeah, I mean, listen, man. I've got no faith you're going to get to Chicago right now. What's going on?
You and me both, brother. You and me both. It's a long story, but I am allegedly, reportedly, as Sat would say, going to
Yeah.
be back in the States the day before I leave for Chicago, which means that I am going to be jet lag as hell on Friday, but here we are. We're here for another week. We got a couple of shows to preview. Can't forget about me and Sad's old mistress, our old lover, NXT, with NXT Worlds Collide as well this
Yep.
weekend.
Yep.
Got GCW, the Art of War Games. I'm going live. I get to see a light tube filled War Games in Chicago. That's what I'm really looking forward to for my Chicago trip. So plenty of big shows and stuff for us to talk about today.
The man just wants chaos. That's what he wants. Listen, do you know who texted me today? Max Niangi. That's who texted me today. Maxwell Niangi. The younger, some say better brother. It wasn't me, but I've heard it. What's going on, man? I'm gonna hook up with your brother in Cardiff, and you're nowhere to be seen. You're playing daddy.
Yeah, I'm playing daddy, so you get an Owen of the Nyangi clan to hang out with. Even though they say,
Owen's a very good. That's a very good, reference.
yeah, because my mom was actually gonna name him Owen, but she bought into the kayfabe of wrestling. She said Owen's a bad guy now. He beat up his brother, so I'm naming him Max from Brookside.
From
The,
Brookside.
the Liverpool show. Yep. Both from the UK.
Show.
You remember Brookside? Yeah. So
Yeah,
Max
it's
is named
bad
after. Yeah, it could have been Owen Nyangi if he didn't turn on his brother at Royal Rumble 1994. So yeah, my brother's going there because he doesn't have a child. I'm going to the Wrestle Talk watch along party for Clash of the Castle.
If you could have been there, then why couldn't you be in Cardiff with me?
It's quicker to get home.
Well, there is that. But, come on, man. Only
No,
2 hours.
to be honest, listen. It's not even about. Listen, Alex. If it was about you, I would have went there. But I just thought the logistics of it. My
Right.
child is 3 months old. I've had a week
Yeah.
without her. We had video
Yeah.
calls. She no sells when she sees me.
They always do that.
shoulder.
They
It's a cold
always
shoulder.
do that.
My
I can't
kids,
wait to
my
get
kids
no
still
sold
now.
in Chicago.
Yeah, my kids still now, man. Like I FaceTime them and they're just like they're showing me what they're doing and shit. They don't care. They don't care.
And also, I might point out, Max. So my Twitter's been blowing up since my last appearance of doing Wrestle Talk because I made fun of Karrion Kross using a hourglass and he says TikTok. I want to let people know when I say stuff like that. AMAC and SP3 know I'm a huge troll. I know what the symbolism of an hourglass is. Time is running out. But I thought it's still funny. It says TikTok, and then the hourglass doesn't go TikTok, it goes.
Well, somebody else saw your joke, it would seem.
I think so. Because I said I got it from Grapsody because that's where it originated from. They said I got it from a tweet. They brought it to light, and I'm the kind of person I will learn from AMAC. Quote your sources. So my source was Grapsody, and Drew must have saw it because Drew didn't quote it when Grapsody said it. He quoted it when SAT said it. E for exclusive, baby. E for exclusive, baby.
Welcome to everybody in the live chat today. Some familiar names I'm loving seeing here. Cyclone for one, haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? Matt J. Hendricks as well. We've got E Vampire in the house. We've got Jess Hyde. I saw Dion Chura as well. We all love Dion. He's always around. What we got as well? Safet Sekovic, I'm calling it. Tom Talks Rubbish. He's here again with the super chat. Big love.
Tom likes to spam us a lot. Tom, we know you're alive. Tom likes to spam us every single time on Twitter. It's like Alex does something, he'll spam SP3 and me. I'll do something, he'll spam
We're a package
SP3
deal.
back.
We're a package deal. He knows this. You know, that's what I was saying. Have you watched the lovely things I said about you on that interview? I bet you haven't.
Dude, I have. I was gonna cut it, and I want to thank you. You know, I'm glad you brought it up because I was gonna bring up anyway. AMAC Alex McCarthy said I'm too big for wrestling. It's true. I'm like the Rock.
You
I need to
are.
blossom.
You are.
I need to blossom. No, but I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. You chose me out of all the professional guys you could have chosen. You chose a guy who squirted baby oil in his chest. That is a risky business. You're a gambling man, and I hope it paid off. But I love you so much because I got a friend, I got a brother, I got a colleague. I got to meet SB3 through AMAC. I got to do Wrestling Daily, and Wrestling Daily led to this show. So I love these guys. These are the best brothers to talk about wrestling. These are the best brothers to talk about parenthood. These are the best brothers to talk about anything like TV, film related. I love these guys. I love you guys. I love you guys.
So you don't like football, do you, Sat? You're not a fan.
Not since I was 16. When I was 16, I left. I was like, I'd have to pretend anymore. So I just but
you could have, man. Talk Sport could have been, you know, but you don't even really like sport but wrestling.
I don't need to do that, man. I feel like we've got, you know, expressions oozing. That's one black brother that's doing really well in that sports genre. No, I'm not saying that two brothers can't do it, but he's so great at it. I want him to shine like that. You know, I don't need to do that. I don't want to do that. Sports. Come on, man. I'm more of an entertainment kind of guy. Sports.
Yeah, music,
give me sports
film.
Entertainment. And give me music. Give me film and television. I'm a pop culture scholar, baby.
Well, speaking of scholars, we are going to be getting into the deepest of our wrestling roots this week as we look forward to the weekend. Before we do that, we will be taking a little think about what was going on in AEW locker rooms last week. I've been desperate to get SP3 in a corner about Thunder Rosa. Can't wait to see what defense he has up his sleeve for his favorite wrestler. But I mean, we say that though, and again, even the gateway into this conversation, I say that as if she needs defending, right? We don't know what's true about all of this. It's all hearsay. I'm not disparaging Voices of Wrestling or anything. They've had some solid reports. But this particular one said that Thunder Rosa, after breaking Jamie Hayter's nose, which was brutal, by the way. I don't know if you I think the word going around is the drop kick, right? The missile drop kick when she's going for the pin. Oh, that shit looks nasty.
No, it's actually a brain buster, brain buster where Jamie.
Oh, that Jamie does it,
and then Thunder Rosa's knee hits her. The drop kick, I believe, was either before or after that, but the real source of the injury was a brain buster that Jamie did, and Thunder Rosa.
So Gravity needs to apologize.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. Either way, the missile drop kick looks fucking. That shit looks way too. Bam! She got all of that. She every bit of it. She got it. But yeah, like the report said anyway after this that there apparently was some heat. Apparently there's long-standing, year-long heat with Britt Baker anyway, and Thunder Rosa. You know, I could kind of believe that. I always kind of not exactly, but I thought they had that kind of professional animosity that, like Triple H and The Rock did. Like, if they're pros, they do business, but I didn't think that they loved each other or anything. And then apparently Jamie Hayter comes after her, angry about what happened in the match, and Thunder Rosa hides in a toilet. If you believe,
you mean the MMA fighter hid in the toilet? You mean someone that would actually stand up and she'll step up to her? She hid in the toilet. That sounds far-fetched to me.
It does, but it's not out of the realms. You can't just dismiss it because of that. There's a lot of different circumstances, right? Who knows? There could have been, it could have been 3 or 4. It's not just, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe
she just wanted to do, maybe she ain't scared. Maybe she's trying to diffuse the
Tommy was rumbling.
It could be anything. Like we don't know, right?
She needed to do number 2. She's like, I can't deal with this right now. Let me do my number 2. I'll come back. We'll talk about it in the streets if we must do. You know what I'm saying?
It was an honest number 2.
Yeah.
But this is it. There's been even more reports this week. I'm sure SB3 will be able to say where they come from. That she is regularly rude and shouts at extras and stuff like that. It's like, it just feels like there's been a pile on Thunder Rosa this week. Like, it's no coincidence it's all come out this week. Thunder Rosa, as we all know, Mission Pro Wrestling, and I know she's done or gone to immense lengths to get ladies chances in AEW, you know, that she's helped train or book. There's a lot. What I'm trying to say here, there's 3 points we've touched on there, really, and none of them are clear for me. None of them are clear cut. There's a lot of grey area in all of them. Is Thunder Rosa an angel? No, I'm not saying she is. She's had a lot of incidents. We can say that much. You know, marketing, sandbagging, and whatnot. But what do we make of this particular slew of reports? Because I must say, the timing for me is where I start to go, everyone's piping up now, are they?
Yeah, it kind of seems like I hate to use this term, but a smear campaign, in my opinion. So basically, the story started, like you said, with the Voices of Wrestling report that came out after Dynamite this week, where Thunder Rosa announced that she's injured and they would crown an interim AEW Women's World Champion at All Out. And basically, the Voices of Wrestling report, I'm not gonna say it was legit or not legit, but it made it seem like Thunder Rosa had cut her own Lost Your Smile promo. If you don't know, now you know that Shawn Michaels was not actually injured before WrestleMania 13. He had a bad knee, but he wasn't injured enough to take it out of action, and he didn't want a job to Bret Hart, as was the plan for Bret to get his win back from WrestleMania 12. So he cut the Lost Your Smile promo, vacated the title, so he wouldn't have to defend it. That's what
And
they
he
tried
turned
to
up
make
at
Thunder
WrestleMania
Rosa.
13. And he turned up. Bret was so
Dancing.
Bret was
Dancing.
like, you son of a mother.
Can we just add the context here, though, to what SP3 is saying? That there are reports going around this week that Thunder Rosa did not want to do the job to Tony Storm. We haven't mentioned that part. Tony Storm was allegedly meant to win the title. I think Fightful even reported that. And Thunder Rosa, according to Fightful, haven't said this part. They are trying to work on the injury. I know PW Insider have come out since and said that it is a legit back issue. I want to say
a bulging disc. She has a bulging disc problem in her back, and she actually had an interview on Busted Open Radio where she does regular appearances, and said that she hasn't been able to like walk on certain days. So like it's a serious injury enough for her to take time off of action. And yes, it was confirmed by Wrestling Observer and Fightful that Tony Storm was planned to win the AEW Women's World Championship at All Out. And then there was the Fightful report that talked about the heat between Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. And then there was a further report from David Bixenspan over on fanbite.com that kind of talked about 2 different opponents that he spoke to, both saying that Thunder Rosa, basically her strikes and her moves in the ring almost feel like they are about to kill you. And one of the opponents said that she has a lack of fundamentals and wasn't trained properly. And then there was a third opponent that they spoke to that basically said that they've had nothing but positive experiences with her, and that yes, can be stiff in the ring, but anytime she's talked to her about it, they've never had the issues again. So it's a lot of muddying of issues, and really what the Fightful report and what David Bixenspan's report kind of tell us is that the locker room is kind of split on how they feel about her. And I think the more damning of the stuff that came out from David Bixenspan was her kind of yelling at extras and people in the back on Dark. And then GCW's Dark Sheik came out and put out a tweet saying that Thunder Rosa also at the GCW event at Hammerstein Ballroom in January was yelling at rookies and veterans backstage at that show. So that was kind of like further, validity to what David Bixenspan put out there.
When it rains, it pours.
Yeah, you guys know I'm a Thunder Rosa fan. I've had nothing but positive experiences and interactions with her. I've been able to work with her for Mission Pro Wrestling. I regularly talk to her on social media as well. I have nothing but positive things to say about her, but we all know the wrestling business, there can be a lot of split down the middle. If you're angry one day and she has a fiery personality, I've compared her to the Rosie Perez of professional wrestling, where she has that fiery kind of Latina attitude. So that can come off one way to one person, and you can come off another way to another person. And it feels like there is no consensus. That was the main thing that David Bixenspan did in his report, and I think he did an excellent job of covering how there was like the 3 sources that he spoke to. 2 of them had negative experience with Thunder Rosa, and the third had a positive experience with her. And there is no consensus when it comes to that. She comes off negative to some people, positive to others. I think that's kind of the gist of the story, is that is split down the middle on how she's been backstage, but there is legitimate heat there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too. Like, I couldn't really, no pun intended, I couldn't really give a shit about the toilet stuff. Like, whatever. But
Didn't give a shit. You said shit, toilet stuff. Haha, punny.
I just said no pun. I just said none. But that's the problem, right? Like, we've all seen it play out in ring where, there has Evilise and whatnot. Like, clearly there are some chemistry issues for her at some point working with different people. And, Britt Baker is a powerful person in the dressing room. I'm not saying that, she's making life hard for anyone, or anyone is, but as well, when you don't get on with someone, I've had it in football teams, right? You don't particularly like someone, they've got who they talk to in the team and hang around with, and you're kind of with your people. Like, and I'm just using this analogy because obviously it's a changing room, as we call it in the UK, not a locker room. But it is a kind of fractured, difficult place at times. And from where I'm sitting, just looking at these reports, I think that's what SB3 is alluding to. That some people have been waiting for maybe this opportunity to kind of go, well, you know what? Now that this has come out, well, while we're at it, I don't like her very much either. But then, she's going to have her supporters too. And I am certainly a fan. I have no knowledge of what's going on, but like these instances in the ring, and we're hearing more reports about what's going on backstage now, but they seem to be a fairly common occurrence, which that's a concern just on the overall scale of a happy locker room.
It's true. But first of all, AMAC, your friend Simon Miller's been hanging out Thunder Rosa. Ask him if you saw Thunder Rosa shouting at extras or shouting at rookies. He'll tell you the truth. He knows. And number 2, do you remember when Thunder Rosa was NWO Women's Champion? Do you remember she hid in the toilet because she had to drop the title to Serena Deeb? No, that didn't happen. So I don't know, because she's lost the title before. Yeah,
what's
exactly.
What's that got to do with anything?
As in, I made up a scenario to show that,
that's got nothing to do with a real fight that she might have had backstage. You've just equated.
She lost the title. Yeah, I'm saying that she lost the title before. She lost the belt to Serena.
She did. She was on her way to AEW. She didn't give a shit.
What do you mean? She still give a shit. She's losing the belt. It's like, I'm not laying for anybody.
Man. It might be. I don't know from what I could tell, man, and for the interview that I had with her, she was ready to leave NWA behind and head to AEW. SB3, yes or no?
100% yes. She was done with NWA at that point. She literally had Tony Khan do the negotiation to get her out of her NWA deal with Billy Corgan. So
yes,
yeah, I think it's a little bit different, but I don't think she's the type of person. She like you said, there's not a consistency with how people feel about her, but I do know for one thing, her and Toni Storm are cool. And I think if she was going to drop the AEW Women's World Championship to anybody, it would be with someone like Toni Storm, who she does have a good relationship with. So I don't believe that whole story that she just came up with the injury to avoid losing the title.
And to answer your question,
I don't buy that either, for the record. I don't buy that.
And to answer your question, it seems like it's Britt Baker's the one that's been firing shots, sandbagging. Every time Britt Baker does promos, she said subs shots. Because all Thunder Rosa's doing is playing the part of a babyface champion, talk about upcoming opponent. Britt Baker's like, gosh, man, has this division been boring without me? I'm back here to save it. I'm firing shots. Oh, sandbagging. Like, I don't know about you. I'll be mad too. If I was Thunder Rosa, I'll be like Bret Hart. Hey, stop saying stuff about me in front of the camera, or I'm going to pull your hair out and beat the crap out of you. So yeah, there has been issues in the locker room. Tony Khan probably needs to get his troops in order, because it seems like there's a disconnect, there's a discord. Someone may get their ass whipped for ruining the ring. We maybe like this much from a shoot fight.
Well, listen, I like the gateway that you've used there, because let's just parlay that into the Tony Khan reports. Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara. Right now, I'm not going to retread too much water here, because this dragged on for bloody days. Even Eddie was furious with it by the time it was over. There was a promo where Sammy basically called him a fat piece of shit, Or I don't know if that's verbatim. I think it's close.
That is verbatim. I saw the
Hey,
promo on social media. He did call
right,
him a
there
fat
you
piece
go.
of shit.
Yeah, so I saw it too,
Call
where
him
like
Vader.
it then cuts to Kingston with Ruby Soho and Ortiz. Is it Ortiz or Santana? One of the two.
Ortiz.
And
Ortiz.
Ortiz. And then basically, yeah, you could tell Kingston's mad. You watch it, you can tell he's like, wow, like what a low life scumbag move that is. The reports were then led to believe. Actually, another step back. There's another video of Kingston in an interview or a stream, something like this, and he says, I'm gonna swing at Sammy. Basically, he says, when I see him, he's gonna get it. Sure enough, on Dynamite, that's what we're told. They come face to face. Kingston pie faces the man, and then Tony Khan is forced to suspend him. Apparently, the suspension is already done, but again, this is another ripple in the locker room. Bearing in mind, we spent a long time last week talking about the CM Punk effect in the locker room and how fractured that's becoming with Hangman Page and whatever else is going on. You've now got Eddie Kingston, Sammy Guevara. You've also got the women at each other's throats. Like, Jesus, what? I mean, Tony's got an uphill battle, has he not, to get things in order? Like, I'm sure when he was younger and he was, writing all these stories that he still got to this day, and he was fantasy booking, like we all do, right? I bet he thought, oh, it'd be so good to have your own promotion. I don't know if I'd love to ask him, in fact, like, how surprised are you surprised how difficult it is managing so many larger than life people? Because man, it looks like it is.
Man, Tony Khan feels like the black mother at a family reunion. Cause I don't know about Sat, but I know as an American, whenever my family has a family reunion, two of my cousins that are sisters, they got in fights when I was a kid. My sisters don't get along too well. There's the brother that hasn't talked to the other brother in years, and the black mother is just trying to give everybody a plate, being like, "Hey, why don't you sit at this table with
Hey,
the person that
hey,
you had a fight with?
oh,
Let's bring it
come
all
on, baby,
together. Oh,
come
you
on,
want to
baby.
play spades? Come on, baby, let's play spades all together as a family." So yeah, he is trying to put everything together. He's trying to I feel for him. I feel for him. This is the most difficult year Tony Khan has had to deal with, because before all of this started, you had an EVP of the company, one of the founders of AEW, leave to go to WWE, and he's become one of the top stars for that company. Then you buy Ring of Honor, you're thinking everything's on the up, everything's great, and then you start having all these injuries, and then when everybody's about to come back from all these injuries, now you got a whole backstage drama to deal with. The women's division, that is already your biggest weakness as a booker, you have all that controversy that we just talked about there. Then you got Eddie Kingston, who the fans adore. He's into a backstage conflict with a guy that everybody hates, but Eddie is in the wrong. He himself said that, so you had to suspend him. So that makes
It,
you look bad again.
it is worth saying, like, and again, I'm a fan of Sammy Guevara, the performer, but controversy follows that man around, right? Like
Indeed.
that's fair to say.
And even in the Fightful report on this whole story, they talked about that people weren't really wanting to work with Sammy after his whole feud with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Apparently, that didn't work out too well. He wasn't getting along with Scorpio and Ethan Page, and even the producer of the feud, Sanjay Dutt, was also mentioned in the report. So he didn't have a good dealing with that feud, which kind of showed on camera. But then you have Eddie Kingston, who wants to work with Sammy. He actually lobbied to verse with Sammy, and they don't even communicate after the whole blood and guts thing. And like Sammy said in his quote, Eddie didn't tell him, what he didn't want said, what he wanted said. You can kind of see from his quote that Sammy did have a little bit of remorse of saying that, because he was thinking, I'm saying this as the character. So
Yeah,
Eddie,
which
when Eddie beats
yeah,
me at All Out, you have this cathartic feeling of this person tried to like body shame him, and now he overcame him at the match. But in Eddie's mind, he's like, you just buried me and the match, because how is a fat piece of shit supposed to beat you at the pay-per-view now? That buries everything that we're talking about. So I understood where both guys were coming from, but when and with Eddie Kingston, I'm sorry, people say this all the time about him. When he cuts a promo, it sounds for real. There's a level of convincing reality to it, so you can understand that in his mental, because he comes off that way, a lot of stuff people say to him is real. He feels like this is the real person
you could also understand why the person opposite him would want to dial it up to that too. You understand? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not making excuses here, but I understand how wires could have got crossed there. What needs to happen, I guess, is you come back through the curtain and be like, oh man, I didn't mean to, like, you got to straighten that out quick. You can't let this fester. These are big dudes with a lot of testosterone. That's not something you want. So what do you make of all the backstage problems, man?
I just think about it. So Ric Flair had a feud with Dusty Rhodes. How many Ric Flair promos did he go, "You fat piece of crap"? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you got Scott Steiner, who's made a meme of himself in TNA saying he's fat. He's a fat piece of shit. He's fat.
He's fat.
He's fat. That's Samoa Joe, but you never heard Samoa Joe come after Scott Steiner because Scott Steiner doesn't look like Sammy Guevara. Because I don't know, is Eddie that crazy enough to go pie face Scott Steiner? No, even though he's a broken down Scott Steiner.
Is anyone crazy enough to do that?
A broken down Scott Steiner can still a broken down Scott Steiner can still give you a Steiner screwdriver.
Fuck that. Fuck that. Nobody wants it with Scott Steiner. Nobody. Yeah. Not then anyway.
To answer your question, I feel like it's a case of miscommunication, like you said. How they sat down and talked things out. This is what I'm comfortable with. This is what I'm not comfortable with. It could have been avoided. This is something to remember in the future. I think everyone in the locker room in AEW who wants to feud Eddie Kingston, learn from Sammy. Learn that if you want to do a spicy promo, because we know Eddie Kingston's great at doing promos, but the thing is, Eddie doesn't go after people's physical appearance. It's more about the ring. For him, it's more about the competition. Like, saying someone's appearance is kind of like a cheap way. I mean, there's so many things you could say about CM Punk, like MJF. MJF likes to go for people's appearance, like, oh, you look like you came from a crack house, blah, blah. But that's not Eddie's style of promos. Eddie's more like, I need to beat you. It's taken me 20 years to get where I am. I have
Eddie and Danielson was a really good example of how to use Kingston at his best, because that's what Danielson was saying. Like, you never ever get the big one, and he actually didn't get the big one over Danielson either, but he pushed him damn close. Like, the story was laid out really well. I want to say it was Rampage when they had that promo exchange. It was really good, really good.
Yeah, I think I think it's like the wider locker room, because I think that's the theme of our podcast episodes, talking about how AEW's locker room's in disarray. All they can do is learn from the mistakes and do better.
Let me put this to you, right? And I am not an advocate for, verbatim scripts. I'm not. I don't like it that WWE make people do that. It's robotic. It doesn't. But you sure as fuck avoid stuff like this, don't you? Like that's the end of the spectrum, I guess, where WWE would be coming from, with their heavily. I don't know that they're as scripted now that Triple H is in charge, because they sure as wasn't in NXT, but it's a double-edged sword if you're Tony Khan. Yeah, you want that organic and raw, gritty. You get magic in those promos. We've seen a ton of them in AEW. Every now and again, something like this is going to happen. But then if you're Tony Khan or one of your, I was about to call them minions. They're not his fucking minions. Or, like...
his employees?
Yeah, but I was trying... What's his name?
Colleagues?
No, the Nightmare Factory man. What's his name?
QT Marshall.
What? Fuck, why did that evade me so bad? If you're someone
QT.
Like him...
It's QT. No, I don't blame you.
If you're like, at least get your right-hand man to go and go, well, that didn't go, well, let's check on this right now, because you there's no way you couldn't have known that Eddie Kingston wasn't happy. There's no way. Like, what kind of system or infrastructure have we got? And the same thing is when Sammy comes back through the curtain, whoever's producing that needs to feed it back to Tony, right? You're speaking to the talent, you got to feed it back, and you've got to get involved. It's that simple, man. It's a structural thing that I think AEW have tried to address recently. They made those announcements of, okay, we've got these different people, talent relations, legal, blah, blah, blah. I think that's Tony acknowledging that there are issues within the structure, and then things have been able to slip by him that shouldn't have and could have been avoided. Exhibit A, I guess, would be Max Caster's rap that time, where Tony Khan has to come out and say, "Oh, I didn't know he was going to say that," right? And I believe him. I'm sure he didn't, because he doesn't. He couldn't do everything. And then he goes, "Well, the answer to that is he will do everything." Not sure that's exactly. I don't know. I'm not sure that's the way to play it either. So, as a big league wrestling professional company, and I still think they do the best TV out of anyone in the world in the wrestling scape right now. WWE is making market improvements, but still, I do think Dynamite is the leader. But as a company, an empire, you can see how there are still growing pains, and it's understandable because Tony, hasn't had to do it before. But that's where WWE have got their infrastructure. I still think the amount of rights they've got is shit, but at least they have a system that works for them that avoids, for the most part, things like this. I'm going to come back to this. Go on, say if you got something to say, quick.
I was gonna say it seemed like they did have a system in the beginning when all the elite members were
Small
involved
roster as well.
It was a smaller roster, yeah, and then Tony decided to take more on because more on, not a moron. He decided to take more color
It was
on.
after the Dark Order Phantom Punches segment. He decided to take more on. I preferred it when you had Kenny dealing with the women's division, you had Cody dealing with his Codyverse stuff and the people that were close to him. You had the Young Bucks dealing with the tag team division, and then Tony would basically circle everything around and be
Tighten
like
it
the
up.
final say behind that and tie it up. That's when I felt AEW was at its strongest as far as like booking wise. But here we are now. We just gotta revise some things backstage.
I mean, I want to tie a bow on the AEW situation because we do need to talk a little bit about Clash, and there is the report from Sean Rossap that I want to get to very quickly. But I've got to tell you, you look at the All Out card compared to like the AEW shows we're used to getting. I think you'll be hard pushed to make an argument that this is on the level that we are usually accustomed to with AEW. Don't get me wrong. I will look forward to Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. I love both men, right? Jade Cargill and Athena. About time Athena had a singles. Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. I like that story, right? Danielson and Jericho's thrown together. It's fine. It's not that we haven't seen it a lot, have we? So, okay, it's fine, but
I wouldn't say it's
not thrown together. No,
I don't think it's thrown together.
It is.
I don't think the concussion. You have to remember the concussion. I think the concussion is what slowed down the progression of that storyline.
Well, maybe.
And he's been building to it. But he's been building to that. Jericho has mentioned Danielson a lot, even when he wasn't really directed at him. When he was feuding with Moxley, he would mention Danielson. When Danielson was feuding with Garcia, you can always see the direction at the pay-per-view was going towards Jericho. I think that this has always kind of been the thing. It doesn't feel thrown together. I feel a lot of the cards like swerving our
is what I'm saying. Maybe it isn't, but it doesn't.
Just not to me.
Whether it's their fault or not, then that's probably fairer. Like you said, we've had Danielson sit out, and then we've had to kind of come back round to it. I guess I just didn't feel it.
No, AMAC, I get you. I feel like you wanted more weeks of seeing Jericho and Danielson having promos, not involving Garcia.
The points you both just made are fair. They really are. Like I do understand, but I'm just saying, like, we're arrived at pay-per-view week, and I'm not like, oh, it's Danielson Jericho. Like, it's not like the crescendo you would expect.
It was quite quick of like, let's fight each other all out because we haven't got weeks left to build this feud. It has to be now or never. That I understand what you mean, because the seeds were there, but I think because of the weeks wasted, like, Danielson's off for a bit, now he's back. We're doing this mini feud with Garcia, but fuck, we got 2 weeks to go before All Out. I challenge you now because I can't do it next week because it's full tax on maybe next week. So let's just get the excitement now, tickets and whatever. So in that regard, I understand why you feel that way.
We got like the trios titles, right? That will be decided. But at this point, I mean, unless something changes on Wednesday, who the fuck knows what's going on with Moxley and the Punk situation. There's got to be a world title match, as they're not. So yeah, presumably but Punk holding his foot. I don't know what was going on. To me, the card, if I had to compare it to some of them where like the top 5 matches were unbelievable, and AEW's had a ton of them, I don't get the same feeling about this card just yet. There's a lot of people that I love on it. I'm just saying, what was the card that had like MJF, Jericho, Moxley, Omega, maybe there's the top 5 matches were just ridiculous. I feel like when you get 4 pay-per-views a year for AEW, that's what I'm used to, I guess. It just feels a little bit disjointed, but maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
Well, you don't have to go that far back. You could say Revolution. Revolution had Punk, MJF, Hangman, Cole, Kingston, Jericho, the 3-way for the tag team titles, Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. Like, that was a stacked card. And that's what I said. I said weeks ago, that was kind of the crescendo of the hot run for AEW, because Revolution had that type of setup. Full Gear, that I was live there for, you had Hangman versus Kenny, you had Kingston versus Punk, you had MJF versus Darby, you had Lucha Bros versus FTR. Like, that was a sad card. All Out last year, they had the benefit of CM Punk, CM Punk's return match, him versus Darby.
Danielson.
You had Cole and Danielson debuting, but we didn't know about that going in, but it still felt like the biggest card because you had Christian versus Kenny, and that's another thing where the All Out, I feel like there wasn't enough space between stuff. Like Punk and Moxley, I didn't really mind. I love the booking of that matchup. I thought that was brilliant to subvert expectations, but now we are like less than a week away from the pay-per-view, and we don't know the main event. We don't know what the world title match hasn't officially been made, and it just feels off because of that. Like, if this match, the way they booked it, happened 2 weeks ago or even a week earlier, then I feel like you would have more space to kind of build it up and make it feel like the biggest match possible again. But after that first promo exchange, we wanted more promos from them to build up to All Out, and they gave us the match anyway.
I mean, that's a choice. That is a choice. And like you said, it's just very unusual. Like, what is the main event on paper right now with what we've got? I don't know, Danielson, Jericho, I guess are the 2 biggest names you've got.
That's the biggest match as far as name value. I think if we got to the event and there's no world title match, I think the main event should be the trios match, because I don't think we are getting Dark Order as pleasantly constructed against the Elite. I think we're getting Hangman in the Dark Order versus Kenny and the Young Bucks, and that's going to probably be the match of the night. That would be the match of the night, because anytime the Elite are on opposite sides of the ring, it's a classic.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. Right, before we enter the home straight, Sean Ross Sapp has been at it again. Fightful are reporting that Braun Strowman is under consideration to make a return to the company. Now, do I need to sing Fightful's praises anymore? I will anyway. They've been spot on with the last few, Dexter Lumis being one. Nobody got Johnny Gargano, to be fair, did they? But who was before Dexter Lumis? They got that right as well. Karrion Kross, there you go. So they've been on the money with those. I've got to say, at the risk of sounding negative, struggling to picture where Braun might fit in.
Come on,
in WWE these days.
What? There's a bigger. Listen, this is why. Okay, usually I keep my mouth shut, put my hands up, but Roman Reigns, okay, Roman Reigns here beat 2 guys. Roman Reigns beat 2 guys that's disappeared off the face of the earth, right? He's been champion for 2 years. Who are the guys who evolved when he won the title? Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. I feel like there's like this massive time continuum. There was a massive black hole where 2 guys got sucked in. The main event scene at one point was struggling hard. Yeah, people ain't like Braun Strowman's political views, but Braun Strowman has some value as a big man, because Omos, no offense, hasn't worked out as a big man yet. He's still plodding along, trying to learn the ropes. You need a big, even as a heel, a baby face. Big Show had some, cachet. I know you guys don't like him. He's not an indie darling, but Braun Strowman will. I
never judge a wrestler on whether I like him or not. It's the wrestler. Like, his title run was really bad.
I know he was. It was Vince. But then
Like,
again, we see what
you
Triple H
know
can
what?
do with him. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say Vince and Triple H, Triple H Sunshine is behind. It's exciting to see what a new management can do with Braun.
I wouldn't close off my mind, but it's like I've seen him work pretty much everyone there. Like, and then if you're gonna do him and Gargano, I don't want to see I mean, I just don't have. There was a time, and me and SP3 have been very open about this, where he was feuding with Roman, 2017, 16ish.
Because it's Roman.
Very good. That wasn't just because it was Roman. He was hot. Strowman got hot, right? And
They
I
hated
was
Roman.
into it. I was into it, right? And
even Mark Henry's retirement promo, it was over because they hate John Cena. Mark was great, but it added that extra oomph. He's like, yeah, beat up John Cena. It's
obviously that's on purpose.
It was agenda shipping. They agenda shipped him, and then they pretended, oh, he's really great. And then outside of Roman and probably Sami Zayn or whatever, he didn't really fly. But I feel like we do need a big guy. That's what's missing from WWE because the roster is so more Theory. Anything that can push, make Theory into this much of a feature on the show. Braun Strowman has some cachet. Yeah, you remember him because of that swamp match with Bray. Yeah, you remember the title reign.
It's not just that.
And the white girl dancing with New Day.
He hasn't done, he hadn't he hasn't done much for me in a while before his WWE release. Don't get me wrong, I was surprised to see him go because typically that's like Vince McMahon's masturbation material. But right. I'm not saying I'm closed-minded to what Triple H might do with him. I'm just not particularly excited right now. I'm just, that's all it is. Sid, what you got?
You want monsters? You got Gunther. You got Karrion Kross. All Braun Strowman coming back is gonna make those guys look small. Yes. So there's the adverse effect of that where Braun Strowman, you fill in a hole for a monster, but all the guys you've been building up that can be monsters are not going to be monsters because he's coming in and filling a spot.
He's a giant monster. There's a difference. It's like Kane coming in. Vader looks small compared to Kane. No, there's room for everyone, guys. Wait,
no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not really. It's not really like that all the time.
Unless you like, and again, Sid just made the right. No, what do you mean? Sid just made the right point, man. Like, you want Gunther? It'd be a great win for him to beat Strowman, right? I don't know where he's at, honestly.
Exactly. That's what we're bringing Braun back. But
if you're trying to make him, then Omos would go over Braun, right? If you were trying to make him, if Braun's being brought back for these particular reasons, cool. I'm not down to watch him beat 2 jobbers a week again and rise his way back. I've seen it.
I'm over the Braun versus Roman too. You brought up Roman like that was the big case to make. He beat him after that. He beat him on an episode of SmackDown because even WWE realized at that point that match wasn't going to draw on pay-per-view anymore. That match has been drawn out. The well is dry. It's as dry as a Cena versus Orton matchup. That's how dry the Roman and Braun matchup is. No one wants to see that. If you're bringing Braun back and you're putting him against a Gunther, that might be interesting. If you're bringing Braun back and he's a part of the wider spectrum of bringing the Wyatt family back, I'm here for that. But as far as Braun Strowman on his own as a main event prospect or a main event giant, I'm good, son. You can leave that. I'm already trying my best to get into Karrion Kross. You're not going to be able to get me into both Karrion Kross and Braun Strowman.
I've only got so much enthusiasm to give.
I know. I only got room for one person to control their narrative. I'm good on all that.
And also, man, like Triple H is just bringing back a WWE centric product that's kind of a wrestling based product, right? Like, again, that's an awkward. It's an awkward fit.
We're all in the same generation. Stop talking like you're born in the 2000s. There's room for giants that can barely walk or barely work.
Nah, not for
There's room. Braun can do stuff.
I never.
He
can.
And he's got great shape. He's got hair like fire, like he's a fire starter nowadays. He needs to cut off. He looks like Kiwi from WCW. He needs to shave that head off because Raquel Rodriguez is there. Now when she puts her back like that, Braun knows where to aim. But yes, you need to bring him back For the simple reason that you need more upper mid carders. That's what they're missing. Triple H looked around the roster. He's like, there's barely anyone here. What can I do? Of course, there are rematches all the time. He's bringing back guys. Even Nia Jax, she can't really work. But Nia Jax, there's a space for her as a monster heel. There's people missing, guys.
But people also have to realize that the more people Triple H brings back, he's gonna run into the same issue that Tony Khan has run into, where he has a bloated roster. The same issue that WWE had in 2018, 2019, where they had a bloated roster and they had too many people. I understood a lot of these pickups because they fill in a hole that was needed. I wasn't that big into Hit Row coming back, but it filled a hole in the tag team division. They needed a new babyface tag team because they are dragging their feet on putting Sami Zayn with Kevin Owens, and Usos have beaten everybody else, and you don't have rated RKO. So I understood that one. I understood Karrion Kross wanting to do more with him. I understood Dakota Kai. I even understand Dexter Lumis, even though I don't want to see him in a match. I'm interested in his story. I'm into all of that. But Braun Strowman, you are now putting in somebody in a main event scene that who's gonna be the grunt, or who's gonna not be pushed in the main event scene because Braun Strowman's coming back. Who? AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Riddle. Like, you got so many main eventers, especially on Raw. I don't understand this.
You know what? Yeah, it does big time. I'm still a bit like, I want to give Hit Row a fair shake, but just without Swerve, it doesn't hit the same.
Yeah,
it doesn't hit the same for me.
To answer Sid's question about Hit Row, I just wanted them to see if they sink or swim, because they were fired before you can even do a great analysis. And you can argue they only brought up the main roster because of Swerve, because they're clearly not ready. That's the awkward thing. They should go brought back to NXT for some seasoning, then being brought back maybe early next year. Do you know what I'm saying? Not a diss. It's just like you can tell some of them.
It's not a diss.
Some of them has been, doing other things outside of wrestling. So just to put them back together, throw them in the ring or throw them back into this environment was a bit haphazard. They should have brought them back to NXT a bit, fix them up a little bit, then put them back in the main roster. Because obviously the original group, or the Triple H visioned group, Swerve was going to be the glue, the nucleus of the group, to hide probably, Top Dollar's inexperience, because Top Dollar can probably do the explosive hot tags. It'll be him and Ashanti doing the work rate or whatever. But now you got both guys in there and B-Fab and so forth. You know what? Let's see how it goes. I'm rooting for them to do well. But yeah, without Swerve, it's kind of, it's not what you know.
But no, it will take some time for them to make Hit Row a different thing almost, but that's going to be hard. And I like what Sid just said as well about Usos, and honorary use Sami Zayn is fucking fantastic,
incredible.
But I do think at one stage there will come a time where he's ousted or whatever, and hopefully his friend Kevin is there to pick him up, and the Usos are still champions, and that is the easiest way into that story. So easy. I hope that's what happens. On that, Mark,
it was hinted at. I feel like it was hinted at when Kevin mentioned them, and then Roman goes, "You still friends with Sammy?" And I feel like maybe that's the thing. He's like, "There's this Kevin Owens guy. I beat him already." And crap, Sammy, you can probably tell him, buzz off.
Buzz off. Listen, speaking of Roman, this whole show is about Clash of the Castle. We're going to do the last 5-10 minutes now. Look, from what you've seen, I have to imagine, Drew got the beating of a lifetime last Friday. That, they taped 2 in one night, so I haven't actually read spoilers on how the next one ends. Don't know if anyone else has. No, of course you have. Him getting beaten down so bad, if that was the go home, I'd have been like, cool. I'll tell you what, he might be winning something here. Where are we all at right now? I'll start with you, Sat. On Roman and Drew. Is Drew going to do it? Is Drew going to do it in the UK? Is he? Well, I don't think he should or he will, but there is a little part of me that thinks, I don't know.
You know what? Because the booking's been they revitalized Drew so much, man. Like Triple H done a good job because he was like Braveheart Drew McIntyre with sword stories, corny catchphrase. You know what Vince does? He's like, You're over. Let me make you John Cena 2.0 when there's a unique reason why he got over. Paul Heyman tapped into that, and Triple H has tapped into that in NXT and on the main roster. Drew so earnest in his promo, so earnest, so relatable, and it's so intense, and you can feel his power, his passion for his promos, and in the ring as well.
Great promo with Kevin Owens, wasn't it?
Incredible. But to answer your question, to not ramble on long, because we've got 9 minutes left. Roman wins because the thing is Roman and The Rock, and Roman must have a title, if not both, a title.
He must have the title in your mind or in WWE's mind?
WWE's mind. Please, I want they can do a separate thing. Yeah, come on, guys. I'm not that crazy. I'm a bit crazy, but not that crazy. Please, The Rock doesn't need a title. Roman doesn't need both titles or a title. Just give him a title. Just give one back, please.
Well, I mean, it has been rumored, but who knows where we're at with that at the moment. SB3, give me your rundown, man. What do you think is going to play out here?
I was 100% in your favor ahead of last week's SmackDown, but those 2 video packages,
it's hard.
Exceptional video packages were like, how do you book this babyface who's got this inspirational story in the show that he helped, push forward inside WWE? You building him up as a come home hometown hero, even though he's not really from Cardiff, Wales,
right?
But it's in the he's in the UK.
Mason Ryan.
How do you allow him to lose in this scenario? And then WrestleVotes earlier today, they put out a tweet saying that for the first time in a long time, there has been some discussions creatively regarding Roman Reigns dropping title or titles. I'm hearing multiple ideas have intrigued those making the final call come Saturday in Cardiff. Should be an interesting week ahead. After SmackDown and seeing those vignettes, those video packages, I was at like a 40%. I got pushed up from like a low 10% all the way 30% up to 40%. After this tweet from WrestleVotes, I'm 50-50.
It could happen. It could happen.
It could happen. Because if this was Vince, there would be no shot of this happening. But because it's Triple H, I think Triple H can go into it, because Triple H is known for one of the top things in NXT. He's known for pushing the main event as the most important storyline, not the most important title. Takeover New Orleans, one of the best shows he's ever put together. That was main evented by and Ciampa, no title involved, unsanctioned matchup. Last year, during the home stretch of his run in NXT, Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly, even though not going to talk about the quality of that match and that snort fest, but that was put in the main event spot of a 2-day takeover. He can build up Roman Reigns and The Rock as the biggest storyline without the championship, unlike Vince McMahon. So I think we are at a 50-50 with 5 days before Clash.
Yeah, never forget Vince McMahon said, Brock Lesnar, you have to drop the title to Eddie because we're going to do you and Goldberg and you don't need it. 2004, 2017, Goldberg has to be champion because we need to make this a title match at WrestleMania 33. And because of that switch logic, Kevin Owens out, right? Him and Jericho was going to be for the title before then. So Vince McMahon's logic, as SB3 quite rightly points out, is shit. But we got Triple H.
Seen that old man.
We got Triple H who's got a fresher perspective, and I wouldn't put it past him. I'm not saying it's the right decision or the wrong decision. I wouldn't put it past him to say this will make a huge splash.
It would.
Right? It would make they've been making great ratings lately. It's becoming exciting again. Anything can happen. I'm just saying, I wouldn't put it past Triple H. For me, though,
you're making me excited, guys.
I know. It was the stadium's going to be rocking, man. But it's just, I still have that little thing of like 700 odd days for Drew. Like, I know the scenario makes it special for Drew, but if it was anywhere else in the world, you'd say, no, we don't want Drew to be the guy to dethrone Roman. Not that there's anything wrong with Drew, but you want to really make the next guy. I know I keep saying that phrase, but it's true. Even like, I think that to stretch it would be like, Cody would be someone I would have took. Who knows? That might have been the plan originally. I just think there'll be, you've got a real opportunity. how often are you going to make the guy champion for over 2 years, and then the next person they make, right? In our lifetime, have we seen it? No. Yeah, CM Punk had it for a long time, but just over half as long as this, right? So, and at that point, everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is the longest reign ever."
Lesnar was the longest reign ever.
So you have to get it right. You have to get it right, whoever the next guy is, and if it's Drew, then you better go with Drew, right? That you better do your darn best to make it a big deal that he's beat Roman, and it will be a significant time in history. It might help the UK hotbed that is WWE fans. I could see a lot of reasons for it, and even just SB3 talking was upping my believability it could happen. Is it the right decision, though?
Then Karrion Kross poo-pooed that idea for you guys. Because that is what's lurking. There's a sand glass, lurking in the background just to screw over Drew, just to give heat on him, and the massive boos. And AMAC is pissed off low key because someone that he admires and talks to is getting screwed up by a guy that's still.
Don't reveal who I talk to, brother. Come on.
Karrion Kross. I'm sorry. It all comes out now. I'm sorry. Drew, Karrion Kross. That's the next feud that's going to happen. So it's either going to be for the title or a title or no title. So we have to remember that Karrion Kross is lurking with an hourglass somewhere. So he may come into, the factor into it. Or he may Papa Shango it.
As Matt J. Hendricks points out here, I mean, they've been buying time for Roman for a while. We all know this, right? It's they will know that The Rock is the plan for next year, and by God, I hope it happens. You got to find an exciting feud for him. You could argue, I think Roman's had good feuds. Jey Uso was still the apex in his run as champion. That was his first one, so. It's a tough situation, but that time was electric for the story. But alas, Clash of the Castle. I'm going to get some final kind of predictions because it's not a long card. It's meant to be about 4 hours. This show, we've only got 5 matches at present. Riddle and Seth Rollins. Riddle go over.
I thought Seth was going over.
I do too. He needs the win. But the way the story's been built, maybe
it's Triple H's Riddle. It might be Triple H's Riddle, who's been less goofy, more prone to fighting. Because Vince's Riddle would have been like, Vince would have went with do more childish antics to annoy Seth instead of fighting him. Triple H's Riddle is, hey, I'm gonna go kick your ass. Because it came to a point I forgot Riddle can get mad. Can he get mad? Hey, bro, you beat me last week.
He won his last 5 MMA fights in a row. Last 5.
He can fight.
In UFC. This isn't just like he was, fighting MMA. This is in the biggest promotion in the world, and the dude was on a hot streak.
And he loved weed too much, and that's why he had to leave, because he would get suspended and fined a lot. Seth has lost as well. These are 2, no offense, main event losers this year. They've lost where it counts. So they both need a victory. But because we're so used to Riddle losing all the time, Seth needs it more, maybe, because he did the honors for Cody. That's also Triple H's guy. The guy still uses the pedigree to keep it relevant. So you have to remember, they're both Triple H's guy, but Cody, what we're going to say, Rollins is still Triple H's son.
All right, can we agree on these 2 things? Shayna Baszler is a solid defense for Liv Morgan. She's clearly retaining the title.
Unfortunately,
whether you like it or not, let's park that to one side. We put our WWE big boy hats on now. This is a defense for Liv Morgan, yes?
It is, but I don't think it's going to be straightforward, though. I feel like that Shayna may get overzealous and then a ding, 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 or she wins and reverse decision because I feel like Liv does win by the skin of her teeth. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Can we agree that Damage Control is going to beat Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka?
Yeah.
Do I have any counters to that? No, that's fine.
No, 100%.
They should win that. Give them their first win.
But the question quickly is: do you think the return of Sasha and Naomi will be that night in?
I think it should be the Raw after
the tag titles. Yeah.
Okay, let it breathe for a day or 2.
I agree. Right, let's close it on this then. Gunther and Sheamus. Now, forget Sheamus is back on his kind of shores.
Bella.
Let we forget Ireland is not actually a part of the UK. The
It's
southern
not.
part,
I
the
know.
Republic part. They had. I see BT put out a list the other day. Did you see this of top 10 wrestlers ever? I think they had some questionable. I might be wrong. I think
BT.
Finley's from Belfast anyway, so it counts.
I think it was Ariel Wani's list of the top 10
Ah.
best UK wrestlers. Yeah.
All right. Well, Finley's from Belfast, so he counts anyway. So it's, who knows? Anyway, Sheamus, though, the only thing he hasn't won in WWE is the Intercontinental title. He's doing it in a stadium show in the UK, the place where his career did begin, where him and Drew McIntyre, Drew Galloway at the time, Sheamus O'Shaughnessy, they made their names in the UK. He has done everything in WWE, guys. Not just the titles, Royal Rumble. He's done King of the Ring. He's done Money in the Bank. Clean sweep. This dude has done it. All he needs is the IC belt. But Gunther, we know Triple H loves him. He does have legitimate, like you partner him with Roman. Fuck. What happens? You can either take the belt off him to get him to the main event scene, or is he going to beat Sheamus? Which one is it? SB3, tell me.
I gotta go with Gunther winning this, which goes into my whole argument of Drew winning, because you're not gonna have both of the UK guys, the UK boys that they are kind of building these two big matches around, lose on one show. So I think that Gunther needs to win more than any of his four guys involved, and especially more than Sheamus. Sheamus still has that story where he can go after the Intercontinental Championship and he can get close in this match, but I think they need to continue this run for Gunther because he was on the verge of getting buried by Vince McMahon, and now he seems like he's got momentum again.
Also, I don't know whether Sheamus might be cheered like a babyface when they come over. Yeah, it's very possible, but wouldn't it be better if his whole odyssey towards the belt was as a babyface? And I think in his later career he could actually pull that off because people have come to respect him and stuff.
Finally.
Yeah, but don't you think Sid makes a good point too, Sat, that both British boys can't lose? So if whatever happens in this first match might give us a good indication of what happens in the second.
I always thought that if Drew did win, Paul Heyman can come back and say there was a clause in the contract that is one of the titles. So that way, he's celebrating both belts. He has to give one back to Roman, wise man, and all that kind of stuff. It would also be a great way to bring back Paul as well, because Paul's been missing. And then it's like, oh, Drew's got both titles. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me here, blah, blah, blah. And take one title back. So they could do that because, like Sid's right, if it's Vince, he loves this shit. We're gonna make both of them lose, and then hear the child jeer, and he just jerk off until I left. He goes, "You hear that heat? You hear that heat?" But at the same time, Sheamus could win, and then Gunther can win it back on SmackDown. They could also do that as well. Because
Sheamus don't need a long run; he just needs it.
He needs to complete it. It's a box ticking thing, Yeah, and then Gunther can win it back in successive fashion. Just powerbomb him 3 times, make it a symphony, and win the title back.
Oh God. Well, there we have it. That's our little preview of Clash at the Castle that you got at the end of this show. Thank you for staying with us today, guys, on ITR Clips. Make sure you subscribe, like, all of that good stuff, and follow my good brothers on the Twitter machines. SB3 is going to be at All Out, and I'm sure he'll have a keen eye on everything going on. So make sure you do. Is it True Hill SB3? Is that the handle?
Yes, True Hill SB3 at True Hill Heat as well. That's where I'll be covering a lot of what I see at All Out, GCW, the Art of War games in Chicago as well. So check that out.
True without an E. You should know this by now.
Right?
But make sure you get following SB3, man. He'll give you everything in Chicago. And I, Alex McCarthy 88, will give you everything I've got in Cardiff. I've got a busy weekend. I'm going to do Media Friday. I've got 3 people on my show, Talk Wrestling, on Saturday. I'm announcing it here, and I'll be tweeting it shortly. Sheamus, Riddle, and Bianca Belair. are going to be on my show. That's going to be cool. It's a nice 2-hour edition of the show. Nice extended interviews with those talented individuals. I'm going to be in Cardiff from Thursday to Sunday. Well, kind of Saturday night into Sunday morning, but I'll be there. You'll be able to catch me. I'm sure we can meet up and, you know, you can castrate me or have a photo, whichever you choose. But I'll be there. And, man, I can't wait. It's going to be a great weekend of wrestling. Going to meet up with Max Niangi, Owen Hart himself. Going to catch him in Cardiff. Anyway, thank you very much for watching us on Monday Night Live. We will see you next Monday for a full debrief of a wonderful weekend of wrestling.